Welcome, everyone. Come on in, find a seat. So my friends, as everyone takes their seat, we're going to start tonight with a beautiful song called Higale that is just a way to sort of turn our hearts and our thoughts to this sacred time, calling each of us together for whatever it is that brings us here tonight. So we hear the words Higale. Higale, gale, gale, na. Ufros, chavivi alai, et sukat, shalom echa. Higale, gale, gale, na. Ufros, chavivi alai, et sukat, shalom echa. So I often say that I know that people come to services for different reasons, and some of us are here because we are just here to celebrate Shabbat together. Others are here to take a little practice of leading worship on our own. Others are here because they are remembering a sadness in their lives, recent or long ago, and others are here to celebrate a simcha. So whatever it is that brings you here tonight, I hope that you find what it is you're looking for. Now, one of these simchas that we are celebrating in our congregation this week is that tomorrow, the marvelous Mila Alper is going to become bat mitzvah. And so, in anticipation of that moment, we are going to invite Greg Alper and Laura and Michael Minkus to help us with our kiddush and our candle lighting, which can be found in the beginning of your prayer book. All the way on page 2. That's really loud. Yeah. It's a really crazy loud. Amen. I think there's a little challah in there if you want to do motzi as well. Amen. Yeah, doesn't count if you don't need it. Thank you, guys. There's this idea in Judaism that says that every Shabbat we come together and angels are in our midst. And so we welcome these angels with the words of Shalom Aleichem on page 24, praying that they bring a little peace and safety to our week.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hanachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachei Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And on the bottom of 25 it says, so we understand that ordinary people are like angels, or messengers of the Most High. They go about their tasks in holy anonymity, often even unknown to themselves. Yet if they had not been there, if they had not said what they said or did what they did, it would not be the way it is now. We would not be the way we are now. Never forget that you too yourself may be a messenger, perhaps even one whose errand extends over several lifetimes. We call each other now to prayer on page 28 with the words of the Baruch Hu, and I invite you to please rise.
Yaida, 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach. Yaida,
Now that we've entered into the fall and daylight savings time, sometimes it seems so strange and so scary to have it be only 4:30 and 5 and feel like night has fallen. But we have this prayer that's put into our evening service that is supposed to make us feel safe and loved even when the darkness comes, when we don't exactly expect or anticipate it. And so we say, we thank you, God, Ma'ariv Aravim, you who brings the darkness, you who knows how to roll day and darkness into light.
Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei Yom V'Layla Golel Or Mipnei Choshech Golel Or Mipnei Choshech V'Choshech Mipnei Or Borei Yom V'Layla Golel Or Mipnei Choshech Golel Or Mipnei Choshech V'Choshech Mipnei Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night.
On 33, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. And Shema is on page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated.
ואהבתם את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לו תותפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו מה עשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On 39, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות עוז הפלא. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. We are marching together to the promised land, gathered together hand in hand, guided to our freedom through the desert sand. Oh, marching together to the promised land. Mi chamocha, mi chamocha ba'ilim Adonai, mi chamocha neda b'kodesh, nora tehilot, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot, nora tehilot osef eleh, osef eleh, osef eleh, osef.
On 43, let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. So even though tomorrow is Mila's big day, we have a number of students who are coming up after her who are also preparing for their big days. And so Mila has generously offered to share this weekend with them just a little bit so that they can also get a chance at the Bima. But I would love to invite also Mila. Will you help us with this too? Yes. All right. So Mila's going to come up, and then we have some other students who are on their way to becoming B'nai Mitzvah who are going to help us lead this next prayer on page 46 with tefillah, and we'll ask everyone to please rise. Be all, come on up.
Adonai sefata tiftach ufia gizelatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Tezocher Chasdei Avot V'Imachot, U'mevig Lulav B'fnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atara V'Hoshia, Mechalchel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Ichamocha Ba'al Umidom Elav, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Ve'naman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
Please be seated.
On page 59, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lahodot. But just as we give thanks this week and preparing for Thanksgiving next week, we know too that there are times when we come to this place where that what we feel is sadness, that what we feel is that our hearts are broken because there are people in our lives who are in need of healing. And so we always take a few moments in our service to turn to page 253 and think of those in our community and in our circles of family and friends who could use healing prayers and who would appreciate knowing that their names were said here. So if there's someone who you're thinking of at this time who would want to know that their names were shared, I would invite you to share them. We're thinking too of Lacey Weinstein and Arlene Alper, of Dave Beal, and also of David and of Gary, and of all those names that we're thinking to ourselves now and always. Thinking of them, even thinking of us. We sing our healing prayer, Misha Berach, on page 253.
Misha
of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage and let us say, Amen. Mishebeira imotenu mekol habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. Ve'imru
So those of you who have been at TI for a long time, you may have noticed that, that I love speaking at Friday night services. And for that reason and many others, I usually do not like to give up the pulpit on a Friday night. But every once in a while, there comes a time or a topic where I have to admit that sometimes your Missouri rabbis do not have all the answers, hard as that may be to believe. And one of those times is when we talk about Israel. Because for as much as Rabbi Michael and Rabbi Shook and I love Israel, when we're talking about what it means to truly live in the land, to understand what it means to be raised in the land and what it feels like to be there, especially in times like now, you need to hear from a real Israeli. And so we are especially blessed and privileged this year to be a part of a program through Jewish Federation, where Jewish Federation has emissaries or shinshinim, who are young adults who come from Israel to the States to be able to share their experience and their understanding of Israel with us, so that our communities can understand just a little bit more of what it's really like to live in Israel today. So it's my pleasure now to invite our Shinshin guy to offer just a few words with us this morning. This is his Dvar Israel.
Hello everyone. As Rabbi Amy said, my name is Guy Dobrin, and in the next few minutes I'm going to tell you a story of how a young Israeli teen went through high school and somehow reached this incredible place for an entire year. Now, before I tell this story, I would like to explain a little bit about the Shinshinim program. This program is a gap year for Israeli teens. During this time, we serve in all kinds of communities in Israel and abroad. This gap year happens right after high school and right before our army service. It is a pretty popular option for teens in Israel to defer their service. It's a great opportunity to experience a new part of the country or the world and better mature before jumping into the IDF. Next, about me. As I said, my name is Guy, and I'm this year's Shinshin at TI. I also work at Kol Rina and the Israeli Scouts here in St. Louis. I play guitar and I love music very much. Also, I enjoy nature in many aspects. I rode in a mountain biking team for many years and also took part as its instructor over the last 3 years. Additionally, I love hiking and going to nature reserves to explore. My family lives in Kibbutz Merchavia. I have 2 wonderful brothers and my parents, grandmother, and many cousins that live in my kibbutz. Now, to begin our story, we will go back a few years. I was in 8th grade studying English. Into my classroom, two older teens had entered and invited us to apply to a summer program for the next summer. I didn't completely understand what they had been talking about, but I decided to take up the offer and apply. This process lasted a few months and included 6 other schools full of applicants. Somehow, as a 14-year-old with no confidence or engagement skills, I was accepted. This program is called the Israeli Camper Program, or ICP for short. 60 7th and 8th graders were accepted and were sent to a Jewish summer camp near Detroit. For an entire month without cell phones. This was a turning point in my childhood because the experience had thrown me way out of my comfort zone, leaving my friends and family behind with little to no communication. But it was an incredible experience during which I had befriended some of my dearest Israeli friends, and also it improved my English significantly. Anyways, without talking too much about this amazing month of my life, after returning home, everything was business as usual, but I had changed. The importance for me to create meaningful relationships made my return home have a large impact on many of my friendships. And more importantly, I had joined a teen leadership program that was meant for all teens that had returned from the ICP. This program helped me maintain my friendships with everyone that went to camp together, and even more importantly, we went through significant activities, discussions about leadership or volunteer work, and how to make a difference. I participated in this program for its entire duration, 4 years. And the friends that I've made there are of the dearest to me, 5 of whom are Shinshinim around the USA. Okay, so the next part of this story is in a Zoom call with multiple leadership graduates, each of them representing an option for what to do after high school. Many of these people had done years of service, similar to what I am doing, both in Israel and abroad. At this time, Ofri, the manager of the program, who had also organized this Zoom for us, told us to sign up for a year with the Jewish agency. She had recommended to try it out. Have another option for deferring the army, which is better than no options. Soon after I had participated in a seminar with my youth movement, Hashomer HaTzair, I had experienced living in a communal home with 20 other teens my age for over a week, cooking, shopping, and getting along pretty much on our own. Also, during the day, we led multiple summer camps for families that could not afford a different camp for their children. These 9 days were a turning point. It was such an incredible week with these kids. that I had understood that I must continue making activities and working with children. During our afternoon activities, the counselors were talking about what each of us could do after high school. What each of us could do to help improve Israeli society and the importance of volunteering for a year in addition to the army. This entire experience had me convinced I must work hard and find the appropriate year of service for me. Little did I know that this is only the start of the long process before starting this year. As 12th grade began, school took up most of my time, but I continued participating in the teen leadership program and applied for a total of 10 different places for years of service. This tryout phase was a difficult time. I had to miss lots of school and there was so much going on. Looking back, this was just a taste of what I had coming up. For months, I wrote activities and tried again and again with no end in sight. I was very sad. I wanted to give up and just study like most of my friends. But the Jewish agency applications were going pretty well. I didn't like talking about them because I didn't want to begin dreaming about the wonderful opportunity it could be. By far, it is the longest process, starting months before any other organization and also having a multitude of stages. Somehow, I continued stage after stage until we reached the biggest obstacle of them all, the interviews. Back to our timeline, we began in late 2017 with applications for a summer camp. And we could quickly jump forward in time to the camp, the leadership program, deciding to defer my army service, trying out to many places, up until 10 months ago, January 2022. I was interviewed on Zoom, and I guess it went pretty well, as you can see me here. But our story does not end yet. Right after joining the Shinshinim program, the Jewish agency had 6 months of preparation in store for us. Of course, after being accepted, the euphoria doesn't let you worry about this, but these seminars were extremely intense and quite meaningful. During this time, I continued to improve my activity writing skills, and in addition to all the tryouts early in the year. Also, it taught me how I define my Judaism and helped me answer many questions that might be asked during my time here. Now, before I finish, I would like to talk shortly about this week's Torah reading. The life of Sarah is an ironic name for a story that begins with her death. The story is a bridge between Abraham's part of our story as Jewish people into Yitzchak's part. As it also ends, the story ends with Abraham's death. This story has a parallel with my journey, in some ways more than others. The story begins with Avraham searching for a proper place to bury his dear wife. Although little to no emotion are written into the text, just by reading the effort put into finding the right location says a lot about their marriage. Next, Avraham searches for a wife to his beloved son, and thanks to his helper, Eliezer, and their true belief in God, they found Rivka. Sadly, the literary genius in this text is lost in translation. How they changed nicknames to the characters, leaving more room for their actions and their persistence. But my similarity is mostly because of the success. Looking for the right place to defer my service is a hard task, as is finding the right bride or deciding to buy the cave of Machpelah. This cave is the burial locations for Avraham, Sarah, Yitzchak, and Rivka. The most important lesson here is to persist and put in all the necessary effort to achieve your goals. Whether it be studying or working, finding your wife, or of course, a year abroad. Thank you.
You know, part of why we wanted to be able to have Guy speak tonight, especially with so many young people here, and I know that many of you have had the opportunity to already meet him at our religious school. He also comes to our preschool occasionally and was even with us for Tat Shabbat this morning. You know, so often when we talk about Israel, and by the way, 3 weeks from now, there will be a whole bunch of us, many who are here tonight, some who are watching from home, who are also going to be in Israel. But we talk about Israel, and so often we think of it as the homeland of the Jewish people, and we think of its history and its archaeology. But really the most remarkable thing about Israel is the kind of people that Israel produces. And to imagine this idea of knowing that you were about to go into the military, but first wanting to give another year of service to be able to make Israel and the world a better place is just, I think, remarkable and such an inspiration for all of us. So we're so grateful that you're here, and I hope that all of you, but especially our students, will have other opportunities to learn from Guy a little bit about Israel and about what it means to really take on the challenge of persisting as he did to be sure that you're making the world a better place. So this time I'm going to ask you now, if you will, to please rise, and we're going to turn to page 282 for the words of the Aleinu on the bottom of the page.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
On page 287, may we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity, cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On page 289, in nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. This has been a hard week for our community, and at this time we recall with love those taken from us in recent days, and our hearts go out to their families in sympathy as we recall their names: Hans Levy, Rosie Feinstein, Ada Lee Glazer, Karen Silverstein, Hal Zinberg, Tom Tucker, Art Sobel. We recall the names of those, the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat, and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the Wall of Honor for perpetual memorial: Eva Bach, Johanna Bassist, Sandy Bredman, John E. Brown, Zola Karp, Beverly Cohen, Maurice Boyarsky Davis, William Samuel Davis, Sidney Faber, Ethel Farber, James Fox, Rose Framer, Samuel Friedman, Israel Max Friedman, Harvey Gillerman, Samuel Glassman, Gerald Greenberg, Ann Gustorf, Dr. Theo Hyman, Sarah Hiller, Morris Hoffman, Betty Bronheim Isserman, Estelle Watelski Kalish, Jerome Kalishman, Bessie Kaplan, Sylvia Cowan, Alan Kaiser, Joseph Kraus, Ben Londesman, Henrietta Lang, Bernard Levine, James Edward Levine, Carol Cosentino Lewis, Martha Pollock Lowenbaum, Barbara Mathis, Benjamin Mendelson, Rietta Feigenbaum Moloff, Lillian Nymark, John Patrick O'Gorman, Rachel Isaacs Pitzel, Francis Novick Prince, Rabbi William Righteous, Dr. Samuel Richter, Virginia Richter, Gerald Rosenblum, Tilly F. Sale, Esther Sclair, Gladys Wise Silverman, Elwyn Smith, Samuel David Sewell Jr., Henrietta Steiner, Joseph Stromfeld, Benjamin Sussman, David Weinberger. So with these names and the names that we keep in our hearts, we join together in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah, ba'alma divarach yurte v'yamlich malchute, b'chayachon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'emru, amen. Yehe shmei rabah b'varach la'alam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudusha barichu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran ba'alma v'emru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'emru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'emru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. And we say, amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yimeru, amen.
So even though it was in the Parsha 2 weeks ago that God first told Abraham, Lech Lecha, we wanted to be able to at least sing one more song tonight about Abraham and about journeys, thinking of our own journey to Israel, so many of us, thinking, Guy, of your journey here and of the journeys each of us take along the way. So the words of Lech Lach, if you'd like to join in with us, are on page 341.
Lechi lach to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach, and I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach. And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.